The U.S. Air Force's newest light attack and armed ISR aircraft, the OA-1K Skyraider II, suffered its first publicly known mishap this week when a single aircraft went down during a training mission on the southeast side of Oklahoma City. The incident occurred on October 22 and, remarkably, resulted in no injuries to the two people aboard, an Air Force member and a civilian contractor. Early information indicates the aircraft struck power poles, dropped electrical lines, and ignited a small grass fire that responders quickly contained. Utility crews secured the damaged infrastructure and began restoration work shortly after. While investigators have released few specifics about the flight profile or the sequence of events, the picture that has emerged is one of a routine sortie interrupted by an emergency near a populated area, handled swiftly by the crew and first responders, and now the subject of a formal safety inquiry. The OA-1K is a newly fielded, propeller-driven platform tailored for special operations support in austere conditions, emphasizing persistence, affordability, and the ability to operate from short or unimproved airstrips. Built around the rugged AT-802 airframe and adapted for military use, the Skyraider II trades speed for endurance and payload, combining modern sensors and precision weapons with a simple maintenance profile. In practice, that means extended time on station, steady surveillance for ground teams, and the option to deliver accurate fires when authorized, all at a fraction of the cost of fast jets. For missions at the lower end of the conflict spectrum, counterinsurgency, irregular warfare, border security, and partner nation advising, this blend of capability and sustainability is the core of the aircraft's appeal. The Oklahoma crash will inevitably turn attention to how the Air Force is integrating a new aircraft type into training and operations. The presence of both a uniformed service member and a contractor suggests a flight with instruction, operational testing, or transition activities in the mix, though officials have not confirmed the sortie's exact purpose. In the early period of any fleet's life, such mixed crews are not unusual as manufacturers and government personnel work side by side to validate procedures, refine maintenance practices, and smooth the transition from developmental milestones to day-to-day employment. Even routine training in that phase can involve complex profiles to build crew proficiency across a wide set of tasks, from low-level navigation and sensor employment to weapons procedures and emergency checklists. What stands out most about the Oklahoma City event is not what went wrong but what avoided going worse. Aircraft that encounter trouble at low altitude near urban infrastructure face narrow margins and rapidly compounding hazards, obstacles, traffic, power lines, and the possibility of secondary fires. In this case, despite the impact with two poles and the resulting downed lines, responders report that the fire remained small and was extinguished quickly. No bystanders were injured, and the two-person crew avoided harm. That outcome, while fortunate, is also consistent with the safety framework surrounding military aviation in domestic airspace, where coordination with local responders, rehearsed emergency communications, and layered risk controls are designed to limit the consequences when things go wrong. The investigative process now underway will follow a familiar but thorough pattern. Safety teams will secure the site, document the wreckage, and gather data from avionics, engine monitoring systems, and any removable storage devices that capture flight parameters. They will review maintenance histories to spot recurring discrepancies, examine training records and recent currency events for the aircrew, look at weather data and notice to airmen advisories, and reconstruct the flight's timeline down to seconds where possible. Wire strikes are a known hazard in low-level operations, so the presence of damaged poles will draw particular attention to obstacle awareness, route planning, and last-ditch avoidance procedures. Investigators will also assess how quickly the emergency unfolded, which cockpit indications were available, and whether checklist actions played out as designed. Findings from such inquiries frequently drive small but meaningful changes, tweaks to training syllabi, refinements to approach profiles, updates to mission planning software, or adjustments to flight manuals that clarify edge cases and streamline crew decision-making. For the program itself, the mishap arrives at a sensitive moment. the type has only recently entered service, and each early sortie helps define its reputation among crews and commanders. New fleets attract scrutiny, and a first incident inevitably raises questions about reliability and risk. Yet the broader logic of the OA-1K remains unchanged. The aircraft exists to fill a niche that high-end fighters cannot efficiently serve: enduring presence close to the supported force, the ability to work from rough fields closer to the action, and operating costs that allow frequent, longer-duration missions without straining budgets. Those attributes are not theoretical, they are rooted in a simple, proven airframe married to contemporary sensors and communications. One mishap, especially one with no injuries and limited collateral effects, does not negate the concept. If anything, the investigation's lessons can harden the program by exposing assumptions, validating procedures under stress, and improving the aircraft's integration with the communities over which it flies. Local context also matters. Southeast Oklahoma City features a mix of residential, industrial, and open tracts, with corridors of utility infrastructure that serve outlying areas. Training flights that pass near such zones do so within a web of airspace restrictions, deconfliction measures, and risk controls that balance mission needs with public safety. The rapid arrival of fire crews and utility personnel after the crash speaks to those relationships and the preparedness that states and municipalities cultivate with military units that operate nearby. When a mishap occurs, those partnerships determine how quickly hazards are contained, how clearly information reaches the public, and how effectively services are restored. In this case, the grass fire's quick suppression and the prompt securing of downed lines suggested that those protocols worked as intended. Looking ahead, the most immediate task for the Air Force is to support the investigation, share validated facts with the public when available, and translate findings into action without delay. That may include targeted advisories to units flying the OA-1K, reinforcement of low-level hazard awareness in training sorties, or coordination with local utilities and municipalities to review flight corridors and obstacle mapping data. None of these steps are unusual, they are the basic mechanics of aviation safety culture, which treats each incident as a source of hard-won insight. For operators and maintainers building experience on the platform, that culture is doubly important. It turns isolated failures into system-wide improvements and keeps new fleets from repeating the same mistakes. In the near term, the Oklahoma mishap will likely be remembered primarily for what it was not: a fatal crash, a prolonged outage, or an event with cascading effects on nearby neighborhoods. The crew's survival, the absence of injuries on the ground, and the quick containment of secondary hazards make this a story of disruption rather than disaster. As the OA-1K continues to settle into service, missions will go on. The aircraft will be judged not just by brochure promises but by how it performs day after day, how maintainers keep it flying from austere strips, how crews adapt tactics to its strengths, and how the program responds to adversity. If the response to this incident is measured, transparent, and focused on learning, the Skyraider II will emerge more mature, its procedures sharper, and its operators better prepared for the realities of low-altitude missions in complex environments.